Hello again, everybody. Along with Don Sutton, Skip Carey welcoming you to another night of Atlanta Braves baseball on TBS, this time from Shea Stadium, where the Braves and the New York Mets will meet for the first time this year. Should be a heck of a pitching duel. Neither team is hitting well, and two good pitchers on the mound. Pete Smith for Atlanta, Dwight Gooden for the New York Mets. Well, the Braves have made one roster change, Don, since we talked to the fans last, and that involved some pitching.
Tommy Green is being sent out. Tommy had a chance, I think, to bust into this relief corps and maybe even be the right-handed closer. He didn't pitch well. He's gone. Rusty Richards is here. And, Skip, I think that's the first of a lot of moves we're going to see in the next few days. You know that players that are going to be taken off the roster May 1st have to be put on waivers by tomorrow night. Next Tuesday, you have to have the either 24 or 25-man roster, depending on which way the clubs are going to go. So a lot of moves in the next few days.
Should be interesting for a lot of teams. Here it's Gooden against Pete Smith, and we'll be back with the starting lineups, the play-by-play story, right after this.
The Atlanta Braves, America's team. Brought to you by Delta, the official airlines of the Atlanta Braves. We love to fly, and it shows. By The Pump, by Reebok, pump it up. By Miller Lite. When it's Miller Lite, less filling really tastes great. And by Daihatsu, makers of the exciting Rocky Wide Track 4x4. Daihatsu, one of the most respected names in Japan for over 80 years.
Hello again, everybody. Don Sutton along with Skip Carey. Welcome to Shea Stadium, the noisiest ballpark in all of Major League Baseball. And tonight, the planes are taking off to the east, so you will hear them as we do. Let's have a look at our Sears diehard starting lineups for tonight's game. For the Braves, 2 and 8 coming into tonight's game. Winners Sunday in Cincinnati. They'll lead off with Oda B. McDowell in center field. Jeff Treadway is the second baseman. He'll be batting second. Lonnie Smith is in left field and hitting third. Jim Presley moved up to the cleanup spot, is playing at third base. This is the lineup you'll probably see till Isaski is back when a right-handed pitcher. Tommy Gregg will be playing first base. He'll be batting fifth. Dale Murphy is in right field. He's hitting sixth. Behind the plate is Ernie Witt. Jeff Blauser is the shortstop batting eighth, and on the mound a right-hander, 1-1 this year, Pete Smith. There you have a look at Pete Bruce Dow Canton. For the New York Mets, 6 and 7 coming into tonight's game. This is their lineup. Greg Jeffries is at second base and leading off. The center fielder is Keith Miller. Howard Johnson playing third, batting third. In right field is Darryl Strawberry. Kevin McReynolds is a left fielder hitting fifth. Mike Marshall is playing first base. He's batting sixth. Behind the plate and batting seventh, Barry Lyons. The shortstop is Kevin Elster. He is hitting eighth. And on the mound, a right-hander and a good one, Dwight Gooden. The umpires for tonight's game will line up like this. John McSherry is at home plate. Ed Montague at first base. Second base is Bob Davidson. And Charlie Williams is your third base umpire. The Mets will line up defensively this way. McReynolds, Miller, and Strawberry in the outfield. Johnson, Elster, Jeffries, and Marshall around the infield. Lyons behind the plate. And Dwight Gooden on the mound. There you have a look at Gooden. Gooden, as you know, had the abbreviated season last year. His numbers thus far, having already made 3 starts. Had the abbreviated season last year with a slight discomfort, slight tear in his shoulder. But he's coming back. They have him on a close watch and a pitch count this year. They're going to bring him along slowly, hoping, not trying to rush him. The Mets, as you know, very deep in starting pitching. Well, Gooden is right in the middle of his warm-up pitches, and we're about ready to start. And here to take you the first 3 innings, Skip Carey.
Okay, Don, thank you. One other game is underway. Milwaukee leads Kansas City 3-0 in the second inning. Dave Parker, a 3-run homer. All the other action just starting or will get started later on. Gooden was 2-0 last year. Lifetime 6-2 against the Atlanta team. And he'll face Oda B. McDowell to lead it off for Atlanta. The Braves just 2 out of 5 in the stolen base department. The Mets are 14 out of 16, but the flip side of that, they have thrown out just 2 of 31 runners who have tried to run against them. That is not a strong suit of the Braves' team speed, but they may play a little bit more aggressively in this 2-game series because of the Mets' problems, which are, like normally the case, a combination of the catcher's arm and the pitcher's ability to hold the runners on.
And Gooden is the Met pitcher who has the slowest time to the plate of any of the Met pitchers. He has the high leg kick, wraps that left leg back towards second. They figure you need something around 1.2 seconds from initial movement to getting it to the plate in order to be able to throw out a good base runner. His consistently runs higher than 1.5. So if the Braves are going to steal any, they have the right man on the mound. But first you have to get on against him.
That hasn't been a problem so far this year, but normally it is. Here we go. At the knees, 0-1, fastball. McDowell, Treadway, and Smith, the first three for Atlanta. It's 54 at game time. It's going to be a little nippy here before the night is over. Popped him up, foul. Everybody gives a look. Barry Lyons comes over. But it's out of play, and McDowell is in the hole 0-2. We're just underway from Shea Stadium. The pitch. Got him. McDowell is out of there on 3 pitches, so that's the way the game starts, and Jeff Treadway, the batter, with a 5-game hit streak.
Nothing very fancy with the first 3 pitches to McDowell. He just reached back and brought it to the plate. This down and in a good spot. McDowell swings right through it, doesn't get it. Tonight's weather should really benefit these 2 pitchers, Skip, for a couple reasons. One is they're both power pitchers. They should be able to maintain their strength more. And secondly, most hitters don't like to hit on cold nights.
Gooden deals. Treadway waits. Line right field, base hit. So he's thrown nothing but strikes so far. That's a 6-game hitting streak for Treadway. And the Braves have a potential go-ahead run at first base. Mike Marshall doesn't look the same in a Mets uniform. He's going to hold Treadway on at first base.
Number 27.
Lonnie Smith, the batter. He's hitting .229. No homers, 3 RBI. Jim Presley batting cleanup tonight. Nick Osaski is back with the ball club, by the way. Fast strike outside corner. It's a bad bruise of his right shoulder. They think he could swing the bat as a pinch hitter, but he can't throw at all for at least a couple of days. And with Gooden and Cone out there, a left-hand hitting first baseman isn't such a bad idea anyway. Thank goodness Osaski's injury is not a serious one. The 0-1. Threw it right by him, 0-2. That's a 727, folks. That's a nothing. The 0-2 instead to first. He threw it away. Treadway will wind up at second. The ball is in the seats. Tell you what, with an 0-2 count, he wasn't going anywhere.
No, and there aren't too many things you can criticize Dwight Gooden for, but one of the things that he consistently gets picked on about is his inability to hold runners on, and the fact that he will do just what you see there, make some unnecessary and ill-timed moves and throw the ball away and put a runner in the scoring position.
The 0-2 to Lonnie. I didn't mean to. Right back where it came from. Gooden looks the runner, throws to first. On a check swing, Lonnie Smith rolls out, and it's up to Jim Presley, who has an 8-game hit streak riding in this game. Tommy Gregg moves on deck. Same 2 teams tomorrow night. John Smoltz against David Cone. No TV. It'll be on the Braves radio network. And then we come home over the weekend to play the Phillies and the Mets. Pitch to Presley is a curved strike.
First breaking ball of the night from Gooden. 7 fastballs, 7 strikes. His first breaking ball, drops it in. 8 pitches, 8 strikes.
Runner at second, 2 down. The right-hand hitter waits. Presley at 289, but he's driven in just 2 runs. The Yankees are home tonight. They're playing the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle team staying at the same hotel we are in New York. So a lot of reminiscing around the lobby today. He started to go. Did he hold up in time? I think he did. Now they ask for help. Ed Montague says he did not swing, and the count is even 1-1. What's the name of that new sports publication?
There it is. National.
The National Sports Data. What a devastating article about the umpires union in there today.
Richie Phillips.
A ball and a strike. Had a good cut at a fastball, but fouled it off. There'll be a lot of foul balls against these two pitchers. They both have good stuff.
That article read like one of those papers you pick up by the checkout counter at the grocery store.
Talking about among other things, the possibility of an umpire's strike before next season. 1-2 the count. Fouled the fastball away. Still 1-2. The way he's throwing so far tonight, it's hard to believe he's got a 6.75 earned run average. But he does. Curveball hit hard into right center, and the Braves lead. Presley has hit in 9 in a row. That's his 3rd RBI, and he stands at second. Good job of hitting there.
Jim Presley is a much more patient hitter than I remember seeing him in the American League. And what he has done over here at this point is he's punished pitchers for their mistakes. Gooden leaves a breaking ball up over the plate. Presley drives it to right center field, and you'll see him do that a lot before this season's over. He has power to both alleys.
That's a 9-game hitting streak for a guy who's known as a slugger. Tommy Gregg, the batter, a base hit could plate another. He didn't get the fastball foul, tipped it, in fact, into the glove of Barry Lyons. 1-0 Atlanta in the first. Ground ball to first should end the inning. Marshall will take it himself. And the inning is over, but the Braves break out on top, a run on 2 hits. There was an error and a runner left. We go to the bottom half of the first inning. Atlanta 1. New York coming to bat. We go to the bottom half of the first inning. Greg Jeffries, Keith Miller, and Howard Johnson will be the first 3. There's the Braves defense. And there's the Braves pitcher. Pete Smith 1-1 with a 2.92 earned run average. He hasn't had much luck against the Mets in his career. 0-3 last year, 0-4 lifetime.
Has thrown the ball very well early in the year in his 2 starts. Could definitely be 2-0, as you can see up near the league leaders in strikeouts. Jeffries, Marshall, and Strawberry have been particularly effective against him. Marshall is 8 for 12. That's a cool 667. He has 1 home run and has only walked 1 time. But Pete Smith, in order to walk through this lineup, has to be aware of those guys and has to make good pitches on those 3 people.
Jeffries hitting .288 with a homer and 3 RBIs. He's off to a good start this year. He's the kid out of Burlingame, California, about whom so much was expected last year, but it really didn't happen. He hit .258 with 12 homers. After a dreadful start, he got better as the year progressed. And Pete's first pitch of the ball game ran up to bunt, fastball low, 1 ball, no strikes.
There are people who think that the attitude and the atmosphere on the Mets is much better for 3 reasons. One, that 2 veteran players, Hernandez and Carter, are gone, and
2-0.
The second is that this young man has matured somewhat. Last year, the veteran players thought he pouted every time he didn't get a hit, and he would come in and sulk and throw things. And I think somebody confronted him with it, and they feel he is a much more mature player this year.
There's a strike over the outside corner. 2-1.
He's a hard-working youngster. He has a training program in the winter where he swings a bat in a pool, tries to develop bat speed and strength.
Hot shot right at Treadway. He'll throw him out. 1 down. Ball was hit hard. I assume the pool is full of water, otherwise you don't accomplish.
Doesn't do a whole lot of good without water in it. Either that or Jello. Jello will do very well.
Yeah.
Rather a sensuous way for training, I guess.
I think it's time to change the subject. Here's Keith Miller. He's hitting .265 with a homer and 3 RBI. Miller lives in Bay City, Michigan. Hit .266 at Tidewater last year. Then came up to the Mets and hit .231 in 143 at-bats. Pops that out of play. 0-1. Howard Johnson is next.
Miller's reputation is he's a good defensive outfielder, can hit, but not for power. But when you have a ball club that has a Johnson, McReynolds, Marshall, and a Strawberry, you can put a defensive center fielder out there and not care if he produces many runs, as long as he saves you those balls in the gap.
The 0-1. Right through there, 0-2. What's that new development they have in downtown Baltimore on the water?
Inner City is off the Center City in Baltimore. Why?
Well, I just wondered. Ricky Henderson got thrown out of a game in the first inning for arguing a strike 3, so he'll be there early. A ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2 pitch. Strike 3 called, breaking ball, and he knew it. Peter Smith records his first strikeout. Here's Howard Johnson. Hojo hitting .255, 3 homers, 10 RBI.
You know, you've heard me mention before how much confidence, how important it is to Pete Smith. Well, each inning he seems to have gotten more and more confident. One of the ways that he's showing it is that he's not afraid to throw that breaking ball on any count, and it consistently has that short, tight break on it.
Howard Johnson last year, 36 homers, 101 RBI. And he's off to a good start this year. High and away with a let-up. 1 ball, no strike. Tell you what, you sit through a doubleheader here, you can go home and chill out. Short left center, who wants it? Lonnie Smith. Inning over, nothing doing. Peter sets him down in order. 1, 2, 3, and after 1, the Braves lead by that number. Dale Murphy will lead off the second inning for Atlanta. Murph has hit in 6 of his last 7. He's at .216 for the year with 2 homers, 7 RBI. One of his homers, a 3-run shot that won the game in Cincinnati on Sunday. By the way, we got to correct some business that all of us on both radio and TV gave you Sunday. According to the media guide, that was Greg Olson's first major league hit. Wrong. He had a single as a member of the Twins for 15 days last year, so it was his first National League hit. 1 ball, no strikes, the count to Murph. High fastball, he had a good cut, fouled it back, it's 1-1. Ernie Witt on deck, then Jeff Mauser.
That's a strafing run.
A ball and a strike. Gooden winds and delivers. Let up high. 2 balls and a strike. This is a club extremely deep in starting pitching, the Mets. In fact, good fastball. He didn't get it. 2-2.
Well, they have a pretty good left-hander, Bob Ojeda, who's not even getting a chance to start. You have Gooden, Darling, Cone, Viola, Fernandez, and Ojeda. And Frank Cashin, the GM here, said he's very surprised people haven't asked him about Ojeda.
Murphy fouled it back. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's sort of like placing an ad in the paper when you say something like that. He wants to hear from people.
Yep. And by people, we mean general manager of other ball clubs. Obviously, every club doesn't have the depth of pitching as the Mets. You would think that one of these would be very popular with somebody.
Whoa, just missed with a great curveball. He had him frozen up there, but he missed the outside corner.
He has a good one, too. We tend to think of Dwight Gooden as just a high fastball throwing pitcher, but he has an excellent curveball there. Some say he falls in love with it every now and then.
Fastball popped into short center field. Miller coming in, still coming. He's there. 1-up. Murphy pops to short center. 1 away. And Ernie Witt, the batter. What happens when those planes go by and they're playing tennis right across the way? I guess everything stops, right?
Oh, no, they probably do just like what we try to do, ignore it.
No, but in tennis, you can't even cough without upsetting.
You notice there are no golf tournaments under this pattern.
That's right. The real estate might be a little high here. Last strike over the outside corner, 0-1.
Are hazardous. One thing you'll learn if you play here very long, you learn to concentrate.
The 0-1 pitch to Ernie Witt. Chased the high fastball, 0-2. One out, nobody aboard. It's 1-0 Atlanta, second inning. High and away. A ball and 2 strikes. Cincinnati failed to score in the first at Philadelphia. Yankees got 5 in the first, lead Seattle 5-0. Two and 2. Bottom of the third, Milwaukee now 4-3 over Kansas City.
We talked about the way Greg Olson did such a good job of setting up and giving his pitcher a good target to work to. Take a look at Lyons. Sits there with the target right in the middle of his body. No question as to where he wants the ball. There are a lot of Met pitchers who are very happy to see him catching every day. As a matter of fact, most of them are.
3 balls, 2 strikes. After having him 0-2, Gooden has run it full. And the payoff. A little high, walked him. He went with a curveball, and Witt didn't get it. Misses a second guess. And threw him a fastball that he took for a strike. He threw him a high fastball. He swung and missed way late.
Then tried to trick him 3-2 with a curveball. When he comes under criticism, that's what it's for his very inventive mind. He seems to get bored with just getting people out. When you can throw as hard as he can with as much movement, there's never any reason to walk a man on a 3-2 breaking ball.
Jeff Blauser, the batter. Check swing, foul tip, 0-1. Blauser hitting .242. Toronto leads Cleveland 3-1. Toronto still batting at the bottom of the first. There's a good curveball in there for a strike. Now he's in a spot where he can do whatever he wants with him.
Throw 3 fastballs to get the 3-2 so he can hook him.
I don't know if that's quite the idea, but we'll see. He curved him again, and he popped the foul back.
We saw Gooden's lifetime record up there. He was at one time 136. I believe it was 137, the second best record ever had by a pitcher with 100 wins, and the first was held by a left-hander who pitched not too far away from here, Whitey Ford. He had only 36 losses when he got his 100th win. Pretty good company.
Upstairs, 1-2. You know what gives you hope about the Braves? Presley has no home runs yet. Osaski has no home run. Blauser has no home runs. Witt has no home runs, and these are all guys you expect to hit a few. Curveball hits softly to second. They turn it out there. That's all they can get. Blauser wraps into a fielder's choice, and Peter Smith is the batter. Smith bats with a runner at first and 2 down. 1-0 Atlanta is our score.
There's going to be a period of adjustment for Presley, although he's hitting the ball well. There's going to be a period of adjustment before he gets to recognize the pitches from National Leaguers he can hit for power. There's going to be a period of adjustment for Ernie Witt. And although Osaski was over here with Cincinnati, there's still a whole different style of pitching. And the year he had last year was off of a different kind of pitching. So it's going to take a few weeks for them to get acclimated.
Throw to first. Blauser back. Peter is hitting .250 for the year. 1-2-0 for the Braves. 0-0-1 for the Mets. Broken bat, tap foul, past first. So Smith heads for some new lumber. And that was not the best swing he's ever had in his career.
No, it was one of those, the heart stayed in there, but the left foot and left cheek went the other way. Hit it right on the end of the bat.
Phillies lead the Reds 2-0 after, well, they're still batting in the first.
That's a swing that is kind of typical of most right-handed pitchers against pretty good right-handed pitchers. The worst I've ever seen was against James Rodney Richard.
Oh, yeah.
And I took all 3 of them. I was headed for the dugout.
Fastball low and away. Well, we want to wish good luck, and I know he'll have it to a dear friend. Mike Fratello resigned from the Atlanta Hawks yesterday.
And with a tremendous amount of class.
Somebody's going to get themselves a very, very good basketball coach. In fact, Stan Kasten, the president of the Hawks and Braves, up here today, just raving about Michael's remarks. The 1-1. Right through there. It's 1-2.
Actually, in what I consider to be a highly unusual move, he sounded like he passed Mike's resume around to all the other GMs in the league.
I think they already know. High pop. Who wants it? Jeffries calls for it and makes the catch in foul territory. So no hits, no runs, no errors. The Braves leave one. We go to the bottom half of the second inning. It's a 1-0 ball game. Atlanta leads. Bottom half of the second inning rolls around, and Darryl Strawberry will lead it off. Strawberry, McReynolds, and Marshall lead it off for the Mets. Pete Smith got him 1-2-3 in the first. Don't forget the Braves come home for a very brief homestand after this long road trip. The Phillies are in town Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and the Mets Monday and Tuesday. The Tuesday game being a 5:40 affair. We should point out that though it's not on your schedule, and I keep forgetting too, Thursday night, day after tomorrow, the Houston Astros are in for a 1-game series, one of the makeup games from a lockout. That will not be televised, but it will be at the ballpark at 7:40. And I'm pretty sure that a few good tickets remain for that one. Strawberry at 311, 2 homers, 9 RBI. Fastball outside, 1-0. Don Sutton, Skip Carey with you for now. Foul tipped into the glove.
Good fastball by Pete Smith. He's had a little trouble with Strawberry. Strawberry 4 for 10, 3 for homers. The temptation is to try to throw him a lot of soft stuff. That's okay as long as you get it over. But if you get behind, you have to come with the fastball, and he is good when he can extend those arms.
Ground ball. Greg has it. Easy play at first, 1 down. They keep the grass, because of their good pitching, real long here, too. It's like Wrigley Field. The ball doesn't want to sit on the ground. It almost stops. 1 away for Kevin McReynolds. Did you hear what happened in the CBS game with McReynolds?
Jack
Buck bet, said, I'll bet any cameraman $1,000 you can't get a shot of him smiling. Inning and a half later, the young lady had it. He wrote her a check.
Thank you.
The pitch. Fastball away. 1 ball, no strikes. There's the lady who done it. Hot foul back. Witt gives it a look, but it has no chance. A ball and a strike is the count. Mike Marshall waits on deck. I want to repeat that because we keep, I shouldn't say we, but I keep forgetting it because I keep checking the schedule in the press guide. But on the 26th, Thursday night, there is a game at the ballpark against Houston. Fastball, fly ball. Easy play and right for the Murph. 2 down.
Well, maybe just to refresh your memory, you remember we were supposed to open in San Francisco. Those games were wiped out because of the lockout. Then Houston was to come in for 3. The San Francisco games have been rescheduled for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of October. And Houston we play 1 doubleheader, and then they have to make 2 one-day trips in to make up the games, both on off days.
Good breaking ball. Marshall didn't get it. 0-1. Smith, every time out of the chute, has been impressive this year.
Using 3 pitches to get ahead of the hitters. There you saw the breaking ball on the first pitch. That leaves him a lot of options on this pitch.
Another breaking ball, a foot outside, but he chased it 0-2. Now you got him leaning a little bit. Do you bust him inside?
Well, with Marshall, it's awfully difficult to walk him, and he does strike out a lot. Very undisciplined. You can see he's been very successful against Pete. Pete has 3 shots at making a good pitch, not in a strike zone.
And he only needs 1, and the inning is over, and that's his 2nd strikeout. They're on Marshall already here. No hits, no runs, no errors, nobody left. At the end of 2, Braves lead at 1-0.
Broadcast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the Atlanta National League Baseball Club and is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Atlanta National League Baseball Club is prohibited.
That's right.
That includes the airplane noise.
And Oda B. McDowell, a strikeout victim his first time, leads it off. Breaking ball in there for a strike. It's 0-1. Got a good movie to recommend to you, Don. Hunt for Red October.
Read the book, but I haven't seen the movie.
Only cost $7 on Times Square to see that flick. Holy smoke.
Good seats?
Oh, yeah.
A few available?
Ball on the strike. High pop left side. Everybody gives chase. Elster and McReynolds on the move, and nobody can get there. So Odie is in the hole. A ball and 2 strikes. McDowell at 235 on the year. There's the Mets manager, Dave Johnson.
Wins over 90 games for a few years, falls under it, but still competes, finishes 2nd in the league, and comes under fire over the winter.
Every other day you read that he's
on the list.
Under the gun. The 1-2. High and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jeff Treadway, who scored the game's only run, waits to hit next. Curveball again, and he missed, and he's run it full. So the payoff pitch is about to be forthcoming. To be McDowell. He fouled the fastball out. Still 3-2. McDowell stands in there. He walked him, and a good start to the third inning. Second walk of the night for Gooden. He missed that time with a fastball. Almost fell down as he threw that pitch.
Well, his mechanics are such that he puts a lot into it, and he ends up falling toward first base. There are some people who criticize that as being in a poor fielding position, but I don't agree with that. A pitcher's first priority is to throw the ball to the plate with something on it. He doesn't become a fielder until he completes his delivery, so it kind of ticks me off to see criticize pitchers who fall toward first as being bad fielders.
Runner goes. Now it was a bluff, and he scampers back. Fooled me. 1 ball, no strikes. Runner at first and nobody out. Dave Parker, his first home run of the year in that Milwaukee-Kansas City game. Gooden wanted that pitch. Thought he had a strike. So did I, to be honest with you. Treadway, lifetime .385 against Gooden. Two balls, no strikes. He is back easily. McDowell without a stolen base or an attempt so far this year. Good pitch to put something on, but they don't. The fast strike is in there. 2-1.
Well, McDowell is the one guy in the Braves lineup who should be and possibly can be the base stealer. Right now the Braves are pretty much geared to hit the 3-run homers and move from station to station, and you need a little more speed in the front end, because that speed and the threat of stealing divides a pitcher's attention, and those hitters are going to get better pitches to hit.
Closer play, but he's back.
You saw the numbers on Gooden's move to the plate. Normally a catcher will tell you, as we said before, 1.2 gives him a shot of throwing out a normal base runner. Good base runner, you have no shot anyway, so just get the hitters out.
The 2-1 pitch. He's safe.
There's also a school of thought that says if you don't hold runners on well, don't throw over there, because you see them, you show them what you can do, and it's something that they can't counteract. So why show them your good move? Just step off, pause, step back on, change your delivery toward home a little.
See if the 2-1 is a pitch they run on. Gooden seems to think so. Count stays the same.
Well, once he breaks that front knee, that left leg, once Gooden breaks that, you can take off running. He has such a high leg kick, and he doesn't have that bent front leg. Watch the front leg. If the front knee buckles, you can go.
He goes. High fly, well hit center field, but catchable. Miller is there. And there's the first out of the inning. Braves played hit and run, but Treadway flied to center, and Lonnie Smith is the batter. Lonnie tapped to the mound on a check swing his first time. Jim Presley moves on deck.
And if you're a base runner, there are two other places you can look on Gooden, too. If you look at his heels, if the right heel comes up, he's coming to first. If the left heel comes up, it's a part of that front leg, he's going home.
You're right. The heel is part of the leg. I can't argue with you there.
That's good, isn't it?
Baseball anatomy, we give it all to you, folks. Runner at first, 1 down.
Take a look. If that left one breaks, he's going home. If the right one comes up, he's going to first.
Boy, he had a good cut at a high fastball, fouled it up. 0-1 is the count. That's been a Definite Achilles heel for the Mets, because some of the teams that they are trying to beat in their division
can run.
Montreal, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, all on the artificial surface, all run well. He's going. He's throwing. He's safe. 30 out of 32. And Lyons didn't make a good throw, but he didn't have much of a chance anyway.
I don't have any idea specifically, but you would have to guess that his time to the plate was somewhere over 1.5, maybe 1.6, 1.7. Lyons, who came out of there, caught the ball to the side in good position to throw, but he had no chance.
1-1, runner in scoring position. First stolen base for Oderby McDowell, and he bothers Gooden as he bounces around out there. Good curveball. You have to look for the fastball, and when he throws you the good curve, it freezes you.
Most good hitters will tell you they get a two-pitch pitcher. They'll give him one or the other and set on the other, and if they get it, they just can't miss it.
Fastball ran him off the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. David Cohn and John Smoltz tomorrow night, radio only. Odie goes to third. The throw there. They got a shot at him. Oh, he changed his mind. He called him safe, then out. Roy Matika all over Charlie Williams, and so is Russ Nixon, and the reason is that he called him both things. He called him safe, and then he called him out. And Russ Nixon is out of the game as well.
And of the 2 out calls, I think the last one he just made is the only one he got right. Because unless Oderby came off the bag, he definitely beat the throw in there. He had a running jump on Dwight Gooden. Gooden only took one look back there. Oderby was going, and he definitely beat the throw there. So if we have a replay later on, unless it shows something, unless it shows something dramatically different than what we saw up here. Let's take a look.
Watch the call, too, at third base.
Fastball up and in. Lyons' throw. He's in there. The left hand had already bent and buckled, so he had touched the bag before the tag ever came down.
Well, he missed the call, and he threw the manager out instead of a runner at third with 1 out. There's nobody on and 2 out. And Lonnie Smith stays alive. And Russ Nixon is still making his way toward the runway. I've seldom seen him as angry.
But from where he was over in the dugout, he could see Oderby sliding straight in, and he could see the hand go under. From the side, it might have been a little bit more difficult, but he was almost right straight down the baseline. As you could see on the replay, his left hand hit the bag. His arm had already bent with the force before the tag was put on him.
Struck him out. The inning is over. Lyons doesn't know that, but it is, in fact. And that's that in the 3rd inning. No hits, no runs, 1 ejection, 1 bad call, and nobody left. Bottom of the 3rd, 1-0. Bottom half of the 3rd inning, 1-0 Atlanta is our score. Lyons, Elster, and Gooden will be the first 3 for New York.
Number 33, the catcher, Barry Lyons.
Lyons off to a slow start, 189, but he has hit a couple of home runs and driven in 5 runs. Lyons out of Biloxi, Mississippi. Hit .247 with the Mets last year and 235 at bats. Pete Smith has a 1-0 lead. Fast strike right in there, 0-1.
We talked about Joe Oliver spending some time in the minor leagues, and Greg Olson. Barry Lyons spent 5 years bouncing around the minors before he shed some pounds and got the start up here.
Let up, fouled off at home plate, and Pete is quickly out in front, 0-2. Don't know who's going to win this game, but when Pete Smith gets ahead in the count, he's a pretty good pitcher.
Well, he has plenty of weapons to go to war with. He has a good fastball, he has a good tight breaking ball, and he's becoming much more confident with his changeup. He has good arm speed on it, good motion. That gives him 3 pretty darn good pitches to go against hitters with.
A little bit inside, a ball and 2 strikes.
When he gets to believing that he can throw that breaking ball for a strike anytime he wants, and the changeup, you can spot that fastball, ride it in like you did there, maybe take another shot up in there if you want.
He went. Lyons looks bad. That's 3 strikeouts. That's the same pitch he got Marshall off.
And in a good spot. You figure most of the time when you see a right-handed pitcher come up and in with a fastball, he's trying to set up the outer half of the plate. And that was a great camera shot there, great angle. You could see that slider breaking down and away. A real good slider goes down and away rather than just flat. And that had a nice little tilt on it.
Kevin Elster, the batter. Fast strike to him. Elster hitting just .093. He's an outstanding defensive shortstop. Last year he hit .231 with 10 homers, which isn't bad because he too got off to a very bad start.
Unusual right-handed hitter in that he likes the ball in on him from a right-handed pitcher. So if you're going to go in there, you better be sure you get it way in.
Foul tip that one. And again, he's in front 0-2, which has happily been the story throughout the game to this point. 1 out, nobody aboard. Don Sutton, Skip Carey with you. Let up, just missed inside.
Red Adams, one of my favorite pitching coaches, used to have a saying, if you know where a guy wants the ball, throw it bad to his power. So if Elster likes it inside, come way inside with it.
He misses outside, and the count evens 2-2.
You see Tommy Glavine, Bob Ojeda, we talked about. Tommy John made a great living getting out low ball hitters below where they wanted it. So just because a guy's a low ball hitter doesn't mean that he won't swing at one that is down below where he wants it.
2 balls, 2 strikes here. Pops him up. Tommy Gregg gives it a look, and he will have no play. It's in the seats. Well, our director here tonight, Tom Smith, and I zip on out of here in the morning, fly over to Boston to open the NBA playoffs on TNT Thursday night. The Celtics and the Knicks will get together, first game of a doubleheader. And after that, it really gets crazy. The 2-2 pitch, here it is. Did he go? Goodbye. 4 strikeouts in a row. Elster is out of there. Rather, 4 strikeouts, 3 in a row. And Dwight Gooden will be the batter.
It's like watching a kid grow up, watching Pete Smith pitch this year versus last year. He is so much more confident. You can see the breaking ball there, down below the strike zone just outside. Too good to take, too bad to hit.
Here's Gooden. Foul back this way, just above our booth. And it's 0-1.
Although he is 0 for 4 this year, Dwight Gooden is a good hitting pitcher and also a good base runner. He's kind of proud of his other athletic skills.
Did he go at the breaking ball? Pete Smith wants him to ask. Yes, he did. Ed Montague with a call, and it's 0-2. And that breaking ball is very nasty tonight.
It's not a big sweeping breaking ball. As you can see, it probably has less than a foot break, but he has started it down and away on everyone and thrown it further outside.
That's it. He strikes out the side. That's 5 in the game, 4 in a row. 1, 2, 3, nothing doing. We've completed 3 innings. So far, so good. Braves lead 1-0. As we mentioned, New York and Boston, our first playoff game on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. I'll be doing that with Doug Collins, and Bob Neal and Rick Barry will be in Portland where Dallas will play. All that on our sister station, TNT, Thursday night. First of many NBA playoff games on TNT. Here we go to the 4th inning. Jim Presley leads it off for Atlanta, and with the play-by-play story, here's Don Sutton.
All right, Skip, thank you very much. Presley, who doubled in the only Braves run. It's been all Pete Smith on the defensive side. Presley with his average now creeping up over 300. Never hit for a real high average during his career over at Seattle, but has made excellent contact in his short time here with the Braves. Looks at a breaking ball, stays inside. It's 1-0. People were very quickly impressed with Jim Presley when he came over. Jimmy Williams called Russ Nixon, Bobby Cox, and said, I think I know some things. Jimmy Williams, who used to manage Toronto, now on the Braves staff, said, I think I can help you with some things on Presley's throwing. Fastball upstairs, 2-0. Presley went down to Florida over the winter, worked out a few things, and threw the ball very well during the spring. People have also been impressed with his quickness. How quickly he goes from side to side. That first step in getting to the ball has surprised everybody. Nice addition to the Braves team. The 2-0. Swung on right side. Jeffries on the grass to Marshall, and Presley's retired. That'll bring up Tommy Gregg. Tommy had to be wondering this spring, man, what do you have to do to crack a starting lineup? Well over 500 in spring training. Then as Lonnie played himself into shape and started swinging the bat better and better, Tommy Gregg this season, as you see, only 7 at-bats. His time got cut tremendously. He looks at a fastball on the outside corner, strike one. You'll recall Tommy came over from Pittsburgh in the Ken Obertfeld trade. The 0-1. Change up on the corner. It's 0-2. His April last year was a spectacular one. He hit 389. He had a home run. He had 8 RBIs. No wonder he wanted to swing the bat in April this year. Right now he's 0-2 against Dwight Gooden. Fouls it back. He remains 0-2. Philly has taken a 2-1 lead over Cincinnati. They're in the third. At the end of one, it's Houston, Montreal, 0-0. Again, the 0-2. Breaking ball hit on the ground, right side. Marshall to Gooden covering, and they're 2 gone. So with 2 outs, Dale Murphy will step in. Murph with that big 3-run homer Sunday in Cincinnati. The ball hard the other way. Seems more comfortable taking those swings to that side. His second home run of the year. You see the totals. Fly to center his only other at bat tonight. Grounder in the hole. Elster to Marshall, and Murphy's gone. So it's a 1-2-3 inning for Dwight Gooden. We have played 3.5. The Braves still lead it 1-0. We go to the bottom of the fourth. The Braves leading it 1-0. Pete Smith, who has been perfect to this point, has been ahead 0-2 on his last 5 hitters, has struck out 4 in a row, 5 for the night. 1-2-0 for the Braves, 0-0, and 1 error for the Mets. Pete Smith getting ahead of right-handers with the breaking ball and mixing the fastball inside, throwing his changeup, mixing his pitches very well. Another fine job, Ernie Witt, calling the ball game up to this point. Incidentally, one of the papers mentioned that there might be a little rift between Ernie and the Braves pitchers. More after this pitch. On the corner, strike one. One of the publications said that they had a little disagreement, that they weren't holding runners on and he wasn't throwing anybody out. He assured me there's no truth to it. Breaking ball down. 1-1.
Well, he's right. Some of them don't do a good job of holding them on, and we have had trouble throwing them out.
But there is no rift. The 1-1. Change up. Jeffries way out in front. It's 1-2. Jeffries grounded to Treadway, hit the ball hard, leading off the first inning. 1 home run, 3 RBIs for the year. The 1-2. Breaking ball hit foul down the right field line.
Eric Davis injured himself sliding tonight in Philadelphia, had to leave the game. We don't know the extent of the injury. There's Bobby Wine. Our guess is he's the manager of record.
The 1-2. Jeffries again fouls it down the right field line. Maybe they're using the college of managers like they used to with the Cubs.
Yeah, the troika. Yeah.
Maybe they rotate kind of like we do up here.
Nobody rotates kind of like we do up here. Nobody in the world.
The 1-2. Jeffries again stays alive. Actually, Bobby is doing the analysis now, and Bruce is doing the play-by-play.
It's another course our producer didn't do well in at San Diego State was math.
Change-up hit up the middle. Treadway to it. To Gregg, and Jeffries is retired.
The other bad deal, getting back to whoever the manager in name only is, what a ratty tunnel to have to spend your time in. Rex Nixon is in now. Man, that's like the Harris sewer down there.
One gone. Miller will be the hitter. Miller, who was Pete Smith's first strikeout victim of the night, looked at a call third strike in the first inning. Just outside, 1 ball. There's a tunnel we were talking about. That looks like Mark Lemke there shielding, actually acting as guard. The 1-0. Fastball, it's fouled off. 1-1. Actually, you know, the rule is when you're kicked out of the ballgame, you're supposed to go back upstairs and watch the game on TV and have a soda. But there have been some managers who have been known to kind of stay down in the tunnel and sneak a peek at what's going on and maybe relay a few signs. None that we've ever known, though. The 1-1. Right down through there. 1-2. How many games you think you would have gotten kicked out of as a manager if you had managed? None.
I don't think any.
Foul back. Still 1-2.
This body in double nits, I'd have been embarrassed to run out there.
Miller was off to a slow start. You see the numbers. He came in today, hit 265. In his last 12 games, he has 5 doubles and has creeped up close to 300. He won't get this one, and he becomes Pete Smith's 6th strikeout victim.
It's that same pitch. Oh, that curveball is nasty.
Tried to hold up on him, but couldn't. That'll bring up Howard Johnson. Johnson flied to left his first at bat. Johnson had himself quite a year last year. Up over 30 home runs. Switch hitter. Changeup hit deep to right field. If it's fair, it's gone. Just foul. He did that in fair territory 36 times last year. He also stole 41 bases. And my pick for the MVP this year. Right now it's 0-1 on Howard Johnson. Johnson, I'd say, was a bargain coming over from Detroit for pitcher Walt Terrell. No balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. Fastball just off the corner. It's 1-1. Crowd noise building up here is trying to encourage Hojo to hit one out of here. The nice thing about the crowd noise is you can't hear the airplane.
They've sort of gone away. Maybe they've shifted the takeoff path.
No such luck. I hope so. The 1-1. Hit deep to left field. Lonnie is over. Now he comes in a few steps and makes the put out. So another 1-2-3 inning for Pete Smith. We've played 4 complete. It's 1-0 Braves. Ernie Witt will lead off the top of the 5th for the Braves. Witt, who walked and was forced on Blauser's 4-6 fielder's choice in the 2nd inning. We were telling you a little before about the article written in the paper. First Gooden's first pitch. Swung on. He doesn't get it. 0-1. A lot of times, if you were asked a question by some of the reporters like, why do you think you're not throwing out base runners? and you make a statement as be something like, well, part of the time I'm not throwing well, the other part of the time they're getting good jumps. So all you read is runners getting good jumps on pitchers. On the corner, 0-2. But when Pete Smith walked on the bus with Ernie Witt sitting there today, I said, "You two guys feuding?" Ernie had no idea what we were talking about. The 0-2, you see Lyons asking for it upstairs. He got it there. Witt swings through it, and Gooden has his third strikeout of the evening.
The shortstop, Jeff Blauser.
Here's some of the other scores happening around the league. At 3, Philadelphia by 1 over Cincinnati. Milwaukee by 1. New York and Seattle. The Yankees got 5 in the first. They're still lead by 5. And Oakland by 2 over Baltimore. And as Skip told you earlier, Ricky Henderson is no longer in that game. They haven't scored up in Fenway Park. Breaking ball stays inside. It's 1-0 to Jeff Blauser. Blauser, who grounded to Jeffries, who threw to Elster to force Witt in the first inning. 0 for 1 on the night. The 1-0 misses outside. It's 2-0. Two balls, no strikes, 1 out. We're in the top of the 5th. The Braves lead it by 1. Blauser doesn't get the 2-0 fastball. It's 2-1. Gooden, one of the anchors of a pretty impressive pitching staff. You could pick any one of 6 to anchor it. Cone, Darling, Fernandez, Viola, Ojeda. Ojeda not even getting the pitch. The 2-1 stays inside. It's 3-1. And then Gooden. One of the reasons you have to pick the Mets is with a pitching staff like that, you can almost be assured they will never go through a prolonged losing streak. Somebody will pitch a 1-0 shutout. You have to favor the Mets. The 3-1, and Gooden misses away. He has walked Blauser, his 3rd base on ball of the night. So with Blauser on 1st and 1 out, Pete Smith will be standing in. He'd be pretty sure his job will be to sacrifice Jeff Blauser to second base. The Mets think so. Howard Johnson is in 6 or 8 steps at 3rd base. The infield bunched towards second. There you see Johnson creeping in. Marshall coming in a hurry, and the bunt is right back to Gooden. Gooden takes a look to second. Decides not to and throws to Jeffries, and the sacrifice works.
Thought he had a pretty good shot there, didn't you?
He came up quick, and when he took the quick look, I thought he was going to throw there. Odeby McDowell will be the Braves hitter. With Blauser standing on second. Odeby, who struck out in the first, walked in the 3rd, stole second, and was called out, stealing 3rd. That led to an argument and Russ Nixon's early exit.
And he was safe. There was little doubt.
Blauser off second. Breaking ball downstairs. It's 1-0. When you watch Gooden from this angle, you can see why base runners take liberties with him. Not only does he have the high leg kick, but he turns that leg back towards shortstop. So he has to make up a lot of ground when he turns to go to home plate. Consistently one of the slowest in the league in delivering the ball to home plate. To McDowell. Foul off over the Braves dugout. Count 1-1. Not a bad Tuesday night crowd here. A cool evening in New York. The Mets have won 2 in a row, but they are under 500. The Braves have been struggling too. Not the kind of matchup you would expect to pack a stadium with, but good crowd here. The 1-1 to McDowell. Breaking ball, he takes it for strike 2. Gooden taking a long look at Barry Lyons. The 1-2. Another breaking ball. Lyons holds it there, but it's called ball 2. McDowell has seen just about all that Gooden has to offer tonight. He struck out on 3 straight fastballs in the first, and he was walked on a 3-2 breaking ball in the third. Has now run Gooden to 2-2. Again the set. Fastball foul tip. Lyons holds on to it. And Odeby McDowell has struck out for his second time. The Braves get a base runner on a walk. They leave him stranded. We've played 4.5. It's still 1-0 Braves. Let's take a look at our Goodies National League standings. First in the West, Cincinnati still on top with a pretty good lead over the Dodgers, San Diego. And you see the rest of them. Now the East. Surprising standings there, actually somewhat reversed as to what you might have thought. Still a close race. Strawberry will lead off the bottom of the 5th for the Mets. He grounded to Tommy Gregg, his only other at bat in the 3rd inning. Upstairs with a changeup, it's 1-0. Again the change, way out in front and doesn't get it. It's 1-1. You have read about some of the struggles this young man has gone through at home, and both fastball away 2-1, both with some substance abuse, but without a doubt acknowledged as the leader of this Mets ball club. Can do so many things so well for you. Pete Smith has fallen behind 3-1 on Darryl Strawberry. Has the potential to steal a lot of bases. Is certainly going to hit a lot of home runs. Plays good defense. The 3-1 from Pete Smith. And he thought he had strike 2. Don McSherry doesn't think so, and the Mets have their first base runner.
That is not only the first walk given up by Pete Smith, but it was also the first time he even went to a 3-ball count on a hitter. His control has been that good tonight. That was close, but a little low.
Some in the dugout would probably yell that either that's a strike or Ernie Witt is not behind the plate because he hit the mitt. McReynolds will stand in. McReynolds slide to right, his only other at bat. He'll go over to first. Strawberry back in plenty of time. McReynolds, another one of those players like Howard Johnson, like Darryl Strawberry, who's going to hit you in double figures in home runs and is going to steal a lot of bases too. There goes Strawberry. And there'll be no throw.
Pitch was up and in on the hitter, and looked like Ernie Witt would never really get it out of his glove. And once he did, he knew he had no chance. Strawberry got a huge jump on Pete Smith.
And I think when the ball came out of the mitt, when he reached for it, it looked like it rolled up his arm, up on his wrist, and he never had a grip on it.
Second stolen base of the year for Strawberry.
So with Strawberry at second, it's 1-0 on McReynolds. McReynolds also an unselfish player who will take a shot to right side at these kind of plays or bunt the runner over. McReynolds is saying that he missed that bunt, and it's a strike and either a pass ball or a wild pitch.
Yeah, Strawberry wasn't sure at first when McReynolds squared the bunt. He wasn't sure if that was fouled off or not. He stood still for a moment, but it just kicked off the glove of Ernie Witt. And once John McSherry gave a big strike call, he realized, Strawberry did, that the ball had never been fouled off, so he took off to third. It'll be a pass ball, I would imagine.
And I think McReynolds helped him too, because he quickly signaled for him to run. He knew that he didn't foul it. So it's 1-1 on Kevin McReynolds. Breaking ball hit the right field. This should be deep enough to score Strawberry. Murphy under it. And Strawberry scores standing up, so without the benefit of a hit, the Mets have tied the ball game. So with one gone, Mike Marshall will stand in. Marshall was strikeout victim number 2 for Pete Smith tonight to end the second inning. Pete threw him 3 straight sliders, one on the corner, one just off, and one just a bit further away. He starts him off with one that he swings, hits out front. And Ernie Witt quickly making the play, called Pete Smith off and threw him out, falling down.
Well, when you find something that works on a hitter, just stick with it. And that's what they've been doing with Mike Marshall. Those 3 pitches, all for strikes the first time up. Went with the same thing again here. Marshall hit it right off the end of the bat. Good play by Ernie Witt. That ball really dies in the grass here. The grass always kept quite high here at Shea. You can see that one had rolled to a stop in a close play at first.
2 parts of that good play, Pete. Number 1, he immediately called Pete Smith off so there wouldn't be a collision. So it was his responsibility, and then once he picked it up, made the falling throw toward first base, and they got Marshall for the second out. Barry Lyons will stand in. He struck out to lead off the 3rd inning. He was Pete Smith's 3rd strikeout victim. Smith misses with a breaking ball, and it's 1-0. Swings right through the fastball, 1-1. Pete Smith has used a good mix of pitches, changeup, slider, and the fastball. Another fastball. Lyons couldn't hold up on that, and Pete has him 1-2.
One indication of the effectiveness of Pete Smith's pitching tonight has been the number of check swings we've seen, both on fastballs and breaking balls.
The 1-2 to Barry Lyons. Breaking ball hit on the ground, in the hole, and through. So Barry Lyons picks up the first Mets hit of the evening. Kevin Elster standing in. As you can see, he is off to a struggling start. He too was a strikeout victim in the 3rd inning. Fouls it straight back. It's 0-1.
It's funny how traditionally when the Mets have had good ball clubs, they have never had a shortstop that hit for a very high average. They had Al Weiss, Bud Harrelson, those early teams, Bud Harrelson, and now Kevin Elster.
But I think when you get the offense from 3rd, 1st, and left and right field,
that's always been a position, right?
You can afford to go get somebody to play defense, much like they have done with center field here too. The 0-1 to Elster. Again, foul back. It's 0-2. Baseball has some of these, they say, are by the book, or according to the book traditions, that you're supposed to get offense from 1st, 3rd, catching in the outfield. I never have understood why, if you got a shortstop who could hit you 30 home runs, why not fill another spot with a good defensive player?
Baltimore has.
Exactly.
With Cal Ripken.
With Cal Ripken. The 0-2 to Elster. In off the corner, 1-2.
They've taken the approach over there with a guy like Cal Ripken at short. You can play a Craig Worthington, who's got a good glove at 3rd. Will hit you 8 to 10 home runs, maybe a 250, 260 type hitter.
Now, the old school would have immediately wanted to move Ripken to 1st or 3rd. Yeah. Why? Because that's where you're supposed to produce the runs from. The 1-2 to Elster. There's that breaking ball. He looks at it, and it's called strike 3. So the Mets pick up a run. They do it on 1 hit. They leave 1 stranded. We have played 5 complete at Shea Stadium. It's all knotted at 1. We have played 5 at Shea Stadium here in New York. The Braves picked up 1 in the 1st. The Mets got their 1 in the bottom of the 5th, and that's how we stand. 2 hits for the Braves, 1 hit, 1 error for the Mets. Pete Smith has been dominating. Dwight Gooden has been pretty impressive since the 1st inning, too. Braves picked up both of their hits. A single by Treadway and a double by Presley accounted, and Treadway will lead it off in the 6th. The Gooden breaking ball drops in for strike 1. Dwight Gooden was the 3rd youngest Major League pitcher in the modern era to win his 100th ball game. Who were the other 2 after this pitch? Fly ball to deep right center field. That's got a chance. It's off the boards. Miller plays it on the 1 hop, but Treadway jogs in with a stand-up double.
Well, Jeff Treadway is one hitter that Dwight Gooden has simply not impressed in his career. He's now 7 for 16 in his career up Gooden, including 2 for 3 tonight. Got a fastball down around the knees and just drove it in the gap in right center. I think Strawberry thought the ball was going out the way he acted.
I think he did too, and both the second baseman and the shortstop were way out there. There might have been a chance to make that a little bit closer. Lonnie Smith will stand in. Lonnie, who is 0 for 2, grounded back to the pitcher and struck out. Taking a shot to right field on a high and away fastball. Doesn't get it. Who were the other two? Bob Feller and the world-renowned Noodles Hahn.
Good old Noodles. He lied about his age, though, I hear.
I broke in with him. 0-1 to Lonnie Smith. Jeff Treadway standing on second. We're all tied at 1. Fastball ties him up at his hands. It's 0-2. This is one of the things that the Braves cannot afford not to do. It's an offense that's pretty much built on hitting home runs and moving people one base at a time. And when you get that leadoff runner to second, you have to do something to get him over to third. The Gooden fastball is inside. It's 1-2.
And we have seen that same pitching pattern from virtually every pitcher on Lonnie Smith all year. Get ahead and then throw him high, tight fastballs.
And until he shows that he can adjust to it and at least fight him off the right field or fight him off the center, he's going to see the ball there. There it is again. Fouls it back, stays alive, 1-2. See Lyons doing a little decoying on that. Normally, a catcher will give you 2 sets of signs. He will give you the fingers up and down, or a combination of signs for the pitch that he wants. Then he'll either pat or with your fingers give where he wants the location. Here you'll see the pumps, the combination. Again, a different combination, then see where he wants it. He gave him no location. A lot of times when a catcher gives signs with no locations, it's breaking ball. Normally, if it's a fastball, he'll tell you where he wants it. All right, you saw him give the signs and then point inside. Fastball in. There it was, upstairs, 2-2. And what you try to do as a catcher and a pitcher is come up with a set of signs simple enough that you can understand each other quickly, but complicated enough that the runner at second base can't pick them up and relay them to the hitter. Again, look at the combination of signs. And then no location. But it was a fastball upstairs. Lonnie doesn't get it, and he strikes out.
5 strikeouts now for Dwight Gooden. I'm not sure if he really got that pitch where he wanted to. I think he probably wanted to get that pitch up and in. He got it a little bit over the plate. That's a pretty good pitch to hit. High fastball.
Lyons has given location on all the other fastballs when he's wanted them in and away. That time he just clasped himself right under his chest protector like he might have just wanted it up out of the strike zone. Presley with a double and a ground ball to second will step in. Treadway still standing at second. There's one gone. Same fastball. Presley swings through it, doesn't get it. Gooden taking a lot of time. The 0-1 to Presley. Treadway off. He's going to step up. You saw Gooden blow on his hands. What are you going to say, Pete?
One of those timeouts for the airplane flying over, and there's a great piece of graffiti somebody wrote over in the radio booth, which I'll tell you about after this pitch, about the noise there at Shea.
Normally pitchers are not allowed to blow on their hands, but on a cold night they waive that rule. It's obviously been waived tonight. Gooden's 0-1 is hit deep to center field. Miller retreats a few steps. He's under it, makes the catch. Treadway's headed for third. And the throw a little bit up the line, so Treadway slides. So Presley flies to center. 2 gone. Treadway standing on third.
You've heard the airplanes flying over all night, and that's often a problem here at Shea Stadium. It affects the concentration. You'll see hitters step out. But someone wrote a piece of graffiti over in the radio booth about the only time that the airplanes didn't interfere with the sound here at the ballpark. It's got decibel levels. LaGuardia Jets 23, Rolling Stones 27. The night they played here, the planes didn't matter a bit.
Tommy Gregg, who is grounded out twice. Grounded to Marshall at first and tapped back to Gooden. 0 for 2. Takes a look at the fastball upstairs. It's 1-0. Jeff Treadway led off the inning with a double. Lonnie Smith struck out. Presley flied to center. Treadway is now standing on third with 2 outs. The 1-0. Breaking ball drops in and over. It's 1-1. Gooden again set. There's a fastball right by Tommy Gregg. He's ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Shea crowd getting into it. Every time a Mets pitcher gets 2 strikes, especially Dwight Gooden, they get into the pumping and clapping of the hands, calling for the strikeout. The 1-2 misses away. 2-2. The 2-2. Swung on, and Gregg doesn't get it. So the Braves waste a leadoff double by Jeff Treadway. They leave him stranded at third base at the end of 5 1/2. It's still tied at 1. Music of the Four Tops from 1965. We have a 1-1 tie here in Shea Stadium, and we also have our Reebok trivia question. Who was the last Brave to lead the National League in earned run average? We'll come back with it after, say, we look at a hitter or two. Do you know that one, Mr. Van Weeren?
I know the answer, and I know that longtime Braves fans will know the answer.
Dwight Gooden will step in to lead off the 6th for the Mets. Gooden, a pretty good hitting pitcher. Hit 200 last year. Lifetime is up close to that mark. Tries to bunt his way on. Pops it in the air. Presley catches it in foul territory. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Give our viewers one clue. The answer to our trivia question is maybe not quite as obvious as it might seem.
Well, let's
Bill
take a look.
Negro did win an ERA crown once, but it was 1974, and that man owned Atlanta. He had 9 straight wins. The ballpark was packed every time he pitched at one point during the summer, and the buzzer won the ERA crown in 1974.
Jeffries will be the batter. He looks at a ball 1 outside. He has twice grounded to Treadway tonight. Very intense, talented young man. Just off the corner, 2-0. From Northern California. Was voted by Baseball America as minor league player of the decade for the 80s. The 2-0 from Pete Smith. Just off the corner, and Pete's gone 3-0 to his 2nd hitter of the evening.
Yeah, he won that individual minor league player of the year award twice, and that's very, very unusual. You don't very often see that happen.
Right through the heart, 3-1. Quickly, the 3-1. On the corner, the count goes full, 3-2. So after falling behind 3-0, Pete Smith has battled back to a full count. Gregg Jeffries with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Hit on the ground again to Treadway, to Tommy Gregg, and for the 3rd straight time, Gregg Jeffries has gone out 4-3. That'll bring up Keith Miller. Miller has struck out twice tonight. On a call, 3rd strike in the 1st, out swinging, tried to check swing on Pete Smith's slider in the 6th. Pete has 7 for the evening. There's that slider, just missing. 1-0. Swung on, hit back up over the Mets dugout. Tommy Gregg is over, but that's way back in the crowd. Toronto is leading Cleveland 4-1. They're in the 7th, and Kelly Gruber has hit his 2nd home run tonight. Has driven in 3 of the 4 Toronto runs. 1-1 to Keith Miller. Chopper up the middle. Blauser to Tommy Gregg. And it's another 1-2-3 inning for Pete Smith. We have played 6 complete in New York. It's still tied 1-1. You're looking at the manager of the Atlanta Braves. No, there has not been a change here. Russ Nixon was ejected in the 3rd inning, in case you missed it. Odeby McDowell walked, stole 2nd, and was called out stealing 3rd. Russ Nixon, justifiably angered, ran out there, and for that he was given the boot. Bobby Wine now holding the reins. We go to the 7th in a pitching duel. It's 1-1, and here to take you the rest of the way, Pete Van Wieren.
Okay, thank you, Don. Leading it off will be Dale Murphy. Ernie Witt will follow, then Jeff Blauser. Murph has flied to center, grounded out to short, and Gooden's first pitch misses. Ball 1. We've got a pitcher's battle tonight. We might have expected it. If you update the team batting averages through 6 innings, the Braves as a team right now hitting .215. The New York Mets as a team right now hitting .213. Ranked 11th and 12th in the National League. And Dwight Gooden and Pete Smith not making it any easier for either of these teams to get it going with the bats tonight. Braves have 1 run, 3 hits. The Mets 1 run, 1 hit. And it's 1-1 on Murphy. A ball and 2 strikes now. Gooden out ahead of Murphy. Cincinnati having its problems tonight, trailing the Philadelphia Phillies, who are playing pretty good baseball. 5-1 Philadelphia. Cincinnati batting in the top of the 6th. Here's the 1-2 to Murphy, and he's out of there. That's the 7th strikeout for Dwight Gooden. He just went with heat against Murphy. Terrific location there on the outside edge of the plate. Now Ernie Witt, who has walked and struck out tonight. The count. Really interesting to watch good pitchers go after hitters on nights when they know they're throwing the ball well. They seem to be able to throw the ball exactly where they want to on almost every pitch. The pattern with Ernie Witt, first pitch every time he's been up has been a fastball up around the letters, maybe a little higher, trying to get him to chase it. Curveball stayed too high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now we'll see if he comes back with more heat up. Nope, he threw another curve and missed low and inside. 2-1 the count on Ernie Witt. We're tied at 1, top half of inning 7. Foul back, the count even 2-2. We've had 1 defensive change for the New York Mets. In center field, Lou Thornton, a young outfielder who hasn't played at all this year until tonight. Now the 2-2 on the way, and the curve got Ernie Witt looking. He had him geared for that fastball, and he dropped number 2 on him for his 8th strikeout. 2 outs in the inning.
He has a good curveball, and it becomes much more devastating when he uses it sparingly. If you throw, there is an adage, if you live by the curve, you die by the curve. And when you have as good a fastball as Gooden does, if you just drop that curveball in there every now and then, it's impossible to sit on it, to look for it, and most of the time impossible to hit it.
Blauser reached on a force play in the 2nd, walked in the 5th. Ball 1, the count on Jeff.
We showed you the defensive change for the Mets with Lou Thornton in center field. Keith Miller had a right hamstring tighten, so they took him out before it got any worse.
2-0 now on Blauser. Two men out, base is empty in the top of the 7th. A dandy pitching battle between Dwight Gooden and Pete Smith. There's the fastball and the count 2-1. Count even 2-2. He's perhaps one pitch away from striking out the side here in the 7th inning.
Gooden went 4 innings his first start, 3 his second, and then 7 his last start prior to this one. And you have to figure that they have him pretty much on a pitch count coming off arm problems last year.
Here's the 2-2. He got him. Gooden strikes out the side. He has 9 in the ball game. We go to the bottom half of the 7th. The fans are already on their feet for the 7th inning stretch. It's 1-1.
We on your broadcast group all start scattering tomorrow. The NBA playoffs begin April 26 on TNT. Be sure to watch our first round playoff action beginning on Thursday. We have a doubleheader for you. It's New York and Boston with Skip Carey and Collins. And it's game number 2 is Dallas and Portland. Mr. Barry and Mr. Neal will bring you that. 8 o'clock on TNT on Thursday. We'll regroup over the weekend.
Some of us will. Some of us take off.
Why couldn't I remember Doug Collins' first name? You're leaving over the weekend?
Yeah. I'm heading out to San Antonio.
Aha.
We go to the bottom half of the 7th. Howard Johnson to be followed by Darryl Strawberry and Kevin McReynolds in a 1-1 ball game.
And just up the coast away, they have a pretty good pitching duel going on, too. Langston and Clemens are matched in 2 hitters in the 6th inning up in Boston, with Boston holding a 1-0 lead.
Johnson tonight has been up twice and has flied to left twice. 1-1 game, bottom of the 7th. Breaking ball missed, ball 1. Tomorrow night, John Smoltz against David Cohn. We will not be televising that one. It will, of course, be on the Braves radio network. Braves home, don't forget, on Thursday. That's a makeup game with Houston, 5:40 game time. That'll be Derek Lilliquist against Jim Clancy. Good changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike on Howard Johnson. Our next Braves telecast will be Friday night against the Phillies. We'll also have Saturday nights and Sunday afternoons game for you. We're going to call back the old right-hander, Ernie Johnson, to work on Saturday and Sunday. Phillies playing pretty good baseball. Not much expected from them this year, but they're off to a decent start. They're leading Cincinnati still 5-2 in the 6th inning at Philadelphia. Count goes to 2-1 on Howard Johnson.
Just came off of a sweep of the Cardinals, too.
Darryl Strawberry waits on deck.
Howard Johnson used to be a terrible breaking ball hitter and wouldn't lay off of it. Now he has become much more selective at the plate, and consequently his average has climbed. He starts to get a lot of walks now. And if you just leave a breaking ball in there for a strike, he'll hit it as far as he would any fastball.
Pete Smith behind in the count, 2-1. That caught the outside corner, 2-2. Howard Johnson told me once in an interview that the whole spark to his career may have been Sparky Anderson, who kind of ran him out of town in Detroit. Had some very negative things to say about him when he was a member of the Detroit Tigers, and Howard Johnson, he's never forgotten that. And from that point on, always wanted to prove to Sparky and to himself that Sparky was wrong. He has done it. Here's the 2-2. He got him. Pete Smith with another strikeout. That's his 8th. And 1 man gone now in the bottom half of the 7th.
Not all strikeouts come on good pitches. Not all base hits come on bad pitches. Pete Smith left the breaking ball upstairs, but he had enough off of it that Howard Johnson was out in front and swung right through it.
Now Darryl Strawberry, who grounded out to first in the 2nd inning. In the 5th inning, he became the first batter to reach when he walked. He stole second, went to third on a pass ball, and came home in a sac fly by Kevin McReynolds. He takes a strike, 0-1. Paid attendance tonight, 22,553. 22,553, the paid crowd. 1 strike delivery, fastball at the knee. Strawberry didn't like the call. 0-2. There you see the crowd of 22,000 plus here at Shea. They hope to draw 3 million in this ballpark this year. The 0-2 on the way. Curveball away, 1-2.
A couple of key pitches here for Pete Smith, and the reason I say that is that he had Barry Lyons with 2 strikes. Same situation, 1 ball and 2 strikes before, and threw him a strike with the breaking ball. in a close ball game or in any ball game, you don't have to throw strikes till you get to 3-2. Sometimes you don't even have to do it then. But now he's in a situation where he can make Strawberry chase a ball out of the strike zone.
He got him to chase one in the strike zone, and he still didn't get it. And that's 9 strikeouts for Pete Smith. Out number 2 in the bottom of the 7th.
But then again, my pitching theory was based on my fastball, not Pete Smith's. Right under the hands with good movement on it, and Strawberry couldn't catch up to it. Strikeout number 9.
Now Kevin McReynolds, who twice has flied out to right. One of them was a sacrifice fly, accounting for the Mets' only run. Off the end of the bat foul, 0-1. In a close game, tied like we are at 1. We're in the 7th inning. We're starting to see the defenses adjust a little bit. Braves guarding the lines a little bit here with Tommy Gregg over near the line at first. Presley likewise at third. Opens up some big holes on each side of the infield, but takes away the extra base hit. Here's the 0-1. A hit toward that hole. Blauser runs it down. We'll see if he can throw him out. He cannot. Ball gets by Tommy Gregg. McReynolds heads for second, and he'll go in sliding. That will probably be a hit and an error.
I doubt very seriously if Jeff Blauser could have thrown him out here with a perfect throw. You can see he was on the grass, planted, through. Tommy Gregg stretched as far as he could. It would have been a bang-bang play. The error allowed McReynolds to go to second.
It's only the second given up by Pete Smith.
Here's a young man right there who never gets enough credit, Kevin McReynolds that is, for being as good an athlete as he is. 1986, he was offered to the California Angels for Gary Pettis. The trade was turned down because somebody in the Angels said he looked lazy. Well, this past winter, he finished second in the Superstars competition. It's conducted down in South Florida. Finished second to who? Willie Golf.
Here's Mike Marshall. Pops up the first pitch into left center field. Not very deep. Lonnie Smith coming in. Waves off McDowell and puts it away for the third out in the bottom half of the 7th. So Mike Marshall is 0 for 3, and that's something he hasn't done at all against Pete Smith. We go to the 8th inning, still tied at 1.
Let's take a look at tonight's Delta scoreboard. First in the National League, Philadelphia leading Cincinnati by 3. Montreal by 2 over Houston there in the 3rd. A late start in San Diego. The Cubs are visiting out there. Likewise, St. Louis in Los Angeles and Pittsburgh at San Francisco. In the American League, Milwaukee's opened up a 4-run lead as they go into the 8th over Kansas City. New York is still shutting out Seattle. Oakland over Baltimore, they played 5. The pitching matchup we told you about at Boston, it's still Clemens by 1. Toronto by 3 over Cleveland. It's 5-2 Minnesota over Detroit in the 4th. And Chicago is shutting out Texas. They're also in the 4th in Arlington.
As we go to the 8th inning, we're going to get a pinch hitter, Mark Lemke, up for Pete Smith. Braves trying to do some 8th inning damage against Dwight Gooden in this 1-1 ball game. Lemke at .231 for the year. He's driven in 4 runs on 3 hits and 13 at bats. And Gooden out in front, 0-1.
There are some armchair managers who might question this move, but Pete Smith has carried you to the 8th inning with a chance to win. As I've told you before, there are 3 kinds of pitchers: those that cause you to lose, those that cause you to win, and those that allow you to win. Pete Smith has done as much as he can to allow the Braves to win.
Lemke trying to butt his way on, pops it foul, back out of play. And also keep in mind that as you look at the pitching lines on these games tonight, how similar they are. Keep in mind that the Braves have had rainouts, off days, and none of the starting pitchers have really been able to get into any kind of rhythm yet. We're starting a stretch tonight with 16 games in 16 days. That'll give every pitcher in the starting rotation, weather permitting, a chance to go out there on this regular day. Let's see if that'll stay in play in foul territory, third base side. It will not. Russ Nixon had the option. He was talking about this the other day. Russ had the option. As you look at Pete Smith in the Braves dugout after a job well done, he had the option of playing a couple of favorites if he wanted to. He could have kept guys like Glavine, Smith, and Smoltz pitching every 5th day, pushing Lilliquist and Clary out of the rotation for a while, but that being the case, those guys may never have gotten any work for 10 or 11 days at a time. He didn't want that to happen. That's why he's staying with a straight 5-man rotation. Count 1-2 now on Lemke.
I think most intelligent people will tell you, Pete, that the toughest part of managing is how to utilize your pitching staff. You have 5 starters. In this case, you have 7 relievers. You have to try to keep them all sharp.
That didn't miss by much. Gooden wanted it. You can see him react visibly out on the mound as the count goes to 2-2.
Take a look at this pitch, you umpire. Ida complained. Looked like a good pitch.
Now the 2-2 to Mark Lemke. He struck him out. That is 5 strikeouts in a row, 10 on the night for Dwight Gooden. And there's the K corner keeping track of all the strikeouts. Now it'll be McDowell, who has struck out twice and walked. Don, you were talking about a pitch limit on Dwight Gooden. Even last year, Davey Johnson, throughout the year, trying to protect Gooden's arm, although it didn't work. Gooden came up with a bad shoulder, had him on a pitch limit all season long. 125, that's a healthy number of pitches. But once he reaches that level, you'll probably see him leave the ball game, and he could reach it this inning. Pitch is high, ball 1.
A strikeout pitcher is going to tally up more pitchers than a sinker baller, a guy who gets a lot of ground balls. So Gooden has to be getting up there close. You figure if you strike out 10, that's got to be a minimum of 40 pitches that you've thrown right there. And that doesn't even count the other hitters you faced.
He goes to 2-0. 113 pitches on the night now for Gooden. And you can see he's gotten stronger as the night has gone on.
He's also used his curveball more sparingly that 3rd time and the second half of that 2nd time through the lineup.
Now the 2-0 to Otoby, and there's a high fly ball lifted out into right field. Darryl Strawberry waiting for it out there. And that's 8 in a row retired now by Dwight Gooden, and the last man to reach will step in now, Jeff Treadway. He has 2 of Atlanta's 3 hits. He had a single in the 1st inning, a double in the 6th. He's also fly to center. Rick Lucan in the Atlanta bullpen. He'll come on to pitch in the bottom half of the 8th inning. 2 men out, top of the 8th, 1-1 our score. Breaking ball missed, a ball and no strikes to Jeff Treadway. Jeff's got his season average up over 300 now. It's at 303. Looks at a fastball over the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It appears that Treadway's approach to hitting Gooden is he gives him the breaking ball and just looks for the fastball. That's the first breaking ball he's had a swing at tonight. And he hasn't missed any fastballs on the inner half except the one he took for a strike on the first pitch.
1 ball, 2 strikes the count. Crowd wants to see another strikeout. That missed 2-2. Treadway with 2 strikes really becomes a protective hitter at the plate. He fouls off a lot of 2-strike pitches.
Well, most good hitters make an adjustment and shorten their swing with 2 strikes.
Foul that curveball away. Still 2-2. They've only had 5 hits in the ball game. The Braves have 3. The Mets have 2. Each team has a run. Each team has made an error.
See, if you can shorten your swing and foul off the pitcher's pitches, the strikeout pitches, sooner or later you'll get one that you can handle. But the key is to foul off his pitches.
Into shallow left field toward the line, Kevin McReynolds. And Dwight Gooden sails through another 1-2-3 inning. He has retired 9 straight. We go to the bottom half of the 8th. Still 1-1. There you see the numbers on Rick Lucan, who has taken over on the mound here in the 8th inning. He's making his 5th appearance. He did not pitch well his first 2 outings. His last 2 he did on this road trip in Houston, not giving up a run in the innings he worked. And he'll be facing the lower 3rd of the order, Barry Lyons, Kevin Elster, and in all likelihood a pinch hitter for Dwight Gooden. He's reached very close to the Davey Johnson imposed pitch limit on him. He's thrown 120 pitches in the ball game. And right-hander Alejandro Pena, the former Dodger, is working now in the New York Mets bullpen.
The Braves, Rick Lucan's 3rd ball club. He started his career with Seattle, went over to Kansas City along with Danny Tartabull in the big trade that they made with Kansas City. And as we have told you before, came to the Braves over the winter in the Gerald Perry trade. Big, tall right-hander. sinks the fastball, throws a breaking ball.
And Barry Lyons hits the first pitch on 2 hops to third. Presley guns it over. 1 pitch, 1 out. Here in the bottom half of the 8th. An excellent outing again for Pete Smith. He has had 3 good ones in a row. 7 innings, only 2 hits allowed, 1 run. The run was earned. He only walked 1. He struck out 9.
What was the pitch total you had for it?
Only 85.
I think it was more a move to try to get a run leading off the inning. Had Pete Smith been the hitter with 2 outs or maybe even 1 out with nobody on, you might have seen him bat for himself. But you knew that Gooden wasn't going to give up too much, and they had to try to start something with the leadoff hitter in the inning.
Kevin Elster didn't have much luck. Tom O'Malley has moved on deck. He will pinch hit for Gooden. Elster against Pete Smith struck out twice. Once swinging, once looking. Right through there for a strike, 1-1. Lukin, one of those pitchers, throws a very heavy ball. That sinking fastball.
A bit of a herky-jerky motion. He's a big guy, about 6'4", gives you that front elbow, and then the back arm, the throwing arm, comes a little bit late and can throw you off stride with it.
Luke Appling, who is a Hall of Famer and has served for many years in the Braves organization as a minor league hitting instructor, called a heavy ball, a sinker like Lukin throws, trying to like hitting a shot put. And that man's work tonight as well done as Pete Smith's work. Here's the 2-1. Another ground ball. This one to short. Blauser on to Greg, 2 down. So this one, it looks like, is going to be in the hands of the bullpens, as Tom O'Malley will come in now to pinch hit for Dwight Gooden. O'Malley 0 for 6 on the year.
You know, if you're Pete Smith and you're facing a Dwight Gooden, invariably somebody will ask you on your clubhouse, some reporter will say, what does it feel like facing Dwight Gooden? You hope that a couple of outings like this, somebody will at least be tempted to go over and ask Dwight Gooden, what does it feel like knowing you're going against Pete Smith? And it won't take many outings like this for people to start asking.
There's an NBA story only about a week old. It's very, very similar to that. First the pitch to O'Malley, fouled away 0-1. And only Charles Barkley could have come up with it. He was being interviewed by one of the networks just before a Boston Celtics game. But what have you guys devised for a game plan for the Boston Celtics? He said, I'm getting tired of answering that question. Go over and ask the Celtics what kind of a game plan they've devised for us. They're trying to catch us. 0-1 on O'Malley, who's bounced around several organizations. Started out with the Giants. Played with Baltimore for a while. 1 ball, 1 strike. Giants really had high hopes for him when he came to the major leagues at a very young age. He was only 20 years old when he first came up.
Never produced much power, and again, first and third, supposedly the positions in the infield that produce power.
Off the glove of Lukin, over to Presley. He has a good arm and a quick arm, and he got him. No, he didn't. That throw may have sailed just a little bit and may have taken Tommy Gregg off the bag.
A play that we've seen Presley make a lot ever since the first exhibition game of the spring. Off Lukin's glove, Presley comes in, fields, snaps the throw from down under. O'Malley runs pretty well, but the throw just pulled Tommy Gregg off the bag.
They are giving O'Malley a base hit. But if that throw had been there, as you could see on that replay, he would have been out by a step. But they consider the toughness of a play when they make an official ruling, as well as the outcome.
Well, you see enough of those that Presley's made them, you expect him to make them, and it is difficult.
Now Greg Jeffries, who 3 times has grounded out to the second baseman.
It is difficult, but when you see a player make a difficult play over and over, you almost get to the point where it's the norm. It's not an exception.
2 men are out. We're in the bottom of the 8th, tied at 1. And the count even now. 1 ball, 1 strike on Greg Jeffries. Toward the hole. Blauser to his right, goes to second, and it is in time for the force on Tom O'Malley. So that'll do it for the Mets in the bottom half of the 8th inning. We go to the 9th, still tied at 1. It is Julio Machado, and it was not Alejandro Pena throwing in the Mets dugout. Our mistake. Machado making his 7th appearance, and he's pitched well. You see his record? He's given up only 1 run and 5 hits in 7 innings, 1 walk and 8 strikeouts.
He was in the Phillies organization, Pete. He was released by the Phillies, and he made stops at every level in the Mets organization in 1989. Peninsula, St. Lucie, Jackson, then up at Tidewater, and finally in September he came up to the big league club, made 10 relief appearances, put in a pretty good earned run average. In 11 innings, he struck out 14 for the Mets in his short stay last year.
Throws a rising fastball, sort of a right-handed version of Sid Fernandez without the odd delivery. And here's Lonnie Smith, who has struck out twice and bounced back to the pitcher. Dwight Gooden worked 8, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, walked 3, fanned 10. So he and Pete Smith, tremendous outings tonight. Now the bullpen taking over, and there's a strike call to Lonnie Smith.
Another herky-jerky delivery, and he could really mess your timing up.
You see the score. There's been all pitching tonight on both sides. 1 strike delivery. That misses. The count 1-1. This is the guy, Julio Machado, who has the interesting dietary habits. His favorite food, he says, is iguana.
Not at the top of my list. How about yours?
I don't know. I've never had it. But knowing...
Still not at the top of my list.
I'm sure it tastes like chicken.
Yeah, it doesn't
every exotic food. You ought to try it. It tastes just like chicken. Here's the 2-1 pitch. There's a pop foul right side. Marshall chasing it. Strawberry coming over. So is the second baseman. Nobody can get to it. I don't know if Marshall lost track of that ball or not. Looked like he had a pretty good shot at it. He gave way to Jeffries.
I think either he heard Jeffries coming or he thought Jeffries called him off of it. You can see him tracking the ball, getting near the stands there, and then all of a sudden he gives up, ducks, and I think Jeffries called him off of it. Somehow I cannot see Julio Machado opening a chain of Kentucky Fried Iguanas.
In this town it would work. 2-2 the count. Just missed low and inside. The count full 3-2.
Both catchers tonight have had 5 or 6 pitches that they have held there for quite a while. See where Barry Lyons' mitt is. He turns it over and then frames it toward the strike zone.
And he loses Lonnie Smith to lead off the ninth. So the Braves have that leadoff man on. And Jim Presley, who's driven in the only run on the night with a first inning double, coming to the plate.
Now with Gregg and Murphy hitting behind Presley, do you bunt Lonnie in the scoring position or do you give him a shot at throwing? Machado, another one of the Met pitchers who do not hold runners on very well. I wonder how many times in his career with the DH in the American League Jim Presley has been called on to sacrifice.
Probably not very often. The Mets aren't looking for a bunt here. Howard Johnson is fairly deep at third. Marshall, of course, holding the runner at first. We've talked tonight about the Mets' difficulty throwing out base stealers. 30 stolen bases in 33 attempts now for Mets opponents. The Braves are 1 for 2 tonight. And the one that was called an out didn't look it on the replay, and Russ Nixon didn't think so either, and he was run from the game. What ought to be McDowell was called out at third, back in the third. Nobody out, ninth inning, game tied at 1. They pitch out. A couple of things they were looking for there, trying to catch the runner and also trying to see if Presley would tip off what he's doing.
That's a wasted effort when you don't do anything to conceal it like Machado did. He rushed it. Normally what you want to do as a pitcher, you want that pitch out to look like any other pitch. The only thing you're going to do is throw a fastball up and away. But invariably, pitchers, especially young pitchers, in trying to deceive the base runner will change their whole delivery.
There's a called strike. It's 1-1. Last year with Seattle, Jim Presley did have 3 sacrifices.
I haven't lost my mind thinking to bunt the cleanup hitter, but Presley with no home runs this year. You have a left-handed hitter coming in up next, and right now 1 run could be a very large one in this ballgame.
Count is even, 1 ball, 1 strike.
The Mets have nobody warming up in the bullpen, so Greg is going to see the right-hander.
And the count goes to 2-1. Right now, Machado having difficulty throwing strikes. He walked Lonnie Smith. Now he's behind in the count, 2-1. On Jim Presley, Roy Matika flashing signs down in the third base coaching box. And the 2-1 on the way. It's fouled back at the count, 2-2. Well, now the bunt definitely not in order with 2 strikes.
Presley got a pitch up in the strike zone where he likes it and fouled it back then. You have to wonder, and I maintain that a base stealer can do so much to disrupt a pitcher's concentration. He can disrupt the whole infield. And you have to wonder, a couple of pitches that have missed and that pitch up in the strike zone, if Machado isn't trying to rush his delivery to at least make it difficult for Lonnie to go.
He is going on the 2-2. It's a strike 3 call. The throw down to second base got him. And it's a strike him out, throw him out, double play, and Presley didn't care for that call. Had a couple of parting words for John McSherry. Well, the Mets, who had thrown out only 2 base runners all year coming into tonight's game, have done it twice in this game.
Take a look at the pitch on the corner and the throw to second to Elster covering. They had Lonnie by plenty. One of the reasons they had Lonnie by plenty versus some of the other attempted steals off Gooden, as Hal Galima told us from down in the truck, Machado's move to the plate 1.1 seconds. Contrast that to Gooden, who is 1.6. So he had a full half a second quicker on the throw to second base.
So now Tommy Gregg bats with the bases empty and 2 down. Gregg has twice grounded out to first. Once he is struck out. The 1-strike pitch misses in the count even. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now the 1-1 coming. He pops him high in the air, foul. Barry Lyons coming back toward the box seat. He will not have a play. It's about 4 rows up. Count goes to 1-2. And a little bit of the heat's been taken off that young man tonight, Barry Lyons. And believe me, the last 2 days, with an off day yesterday and a whole extra day for the newspapers to find something to write about here,
And invariably it's negative.
well, I tell you, if you're having a bad time doing anything, it is so magnified in this city. And the catcher's throwing problems, there have been charts and graphs and all kinds of things in the newspapers. Well, he's gunned down 2 tonight, and that'll take some of the heat off him. Here's the 1-2. That just misses. 2-2.
And have you noticed how it almost always happens? You get a leadoff runner on, and you get to strike him out, throw him out, and all of a sudden the pitcher's slider gets a little crisper, the fastball gets a little quicker, and his control gets a little finer.
And the 2-2 to Tommy Gregg. Check swing foul into the Atlanta dugout. Count remains 2-2. One player who is not having a whole lot of pressure put on him this year by the media is the young second baseman Greg Jeffries. He was the subject of all of the early season criticism last year. Right now it's focused in on the catching combo of Barry Lyons and Mackey Sasser. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Greg stays alive, still 2-2.
Well, Jeffries came up at 88 and did everything but lead the club in saves. And I think everybody had expectations based on what he did in 88 and when he fell short of them last year. And he's a young man who puts a lot of pressure on himself anyway. First half of last year, he didn't do much at all. The second half, he got much better.
That takes care of Tommy Gregg. That high fastball strikes him out. That's the second strikeout for Machado, the 12th strikeout for New York pitching. We go to the bottom half of the ninth. We're still tied at 1. Couple of changes for Atlanta as we go to the bottom half of the ninth inning. Ron Gant takes over in left field. He'll be batting in the number 9 spot. And the new pitcher for Atlanta, left-hander Mike Stanton, replacing Rick Lucan, who worked a scoreless inning, allowing 1 hit. And Stanton will be batting in the number 3 spot in the order. Stanton, who has picked up 2 saves this year and the Braves 2 victories, makes his 5th appearance of the year. His earned run average is still quite high. When the game was on the line, the 2 times he came in that situation, he pitched well. In 2 mop-up assignments, he did not pitch well, so his ERA high at 11.12 at the moment. And with Stanton on the mound, Thornton, the scheduled hitter, we're going to get a pinch hitter, Mark Carrion, who bats from the right side. And is off to a good start. He got quite a bit of playing time early in the year. He played left field when Kevin McReynolds was out with a sprained thumb for a few games and did a good job. He went 7 for 23 on the season thus far. He has 2 home runs already and has driven in 4 runs. He's the son of former Major League catcher Camilo Carrion, who played for a lot of Major League clubs, including the Orioles and the White Sox. And he wears his dad's number 45. He'll be followed by Howard Johnson and Darryl Strawberry in a 1-1 ball game, bottom of the 9th. Ball 1, the count to Carrion. Did a good job coming off the bench for New York last year. Two 2-0. The breaking ball missing again. There's Howard Johnson waiting on deck. Here's the 2-0 pitch. 3-0. Right through there for a called strike. And the 3-1 delivery is pop foul right side out of play. Count full 3-2. Carrion, one of those guys who really had to spend a lot of time in the minor leagues before getting a chance up here. First signed with the Mets back in '81. He's been with New York for parts of the '87, '88, and '89 seasons. Never been up for a full year. He's hoping that'll change this year. And the payoff pitch to him is fouled away again.
A little bit of a Jim Presley style of hitting with that left front foot standing up on its toe, the bat resting up off his shoulders. Let's see up on that toe. Looks a lot like Presley.
Drills this one over third, down toward that left field corner. He rounds first. He heads for second. Ron Gant up with the ball. He rounds second. He'll hold on there. A leadoff double for Mark Carrion, his first double of the year. And the New York Mets have a winning runner in scoring position with nobody out here in the bottom half of the 9th inning.
With a count 3-1, he was looking for a pitch to drive. 3-2, just trying to put the ball in play. Got a fastball down and in. Presley went up as high as he could, but he couldn't get it. That ball almost kicked past Ron Gant down in the corner. If he had, Carrion, who had rounded second, would have made it into third easily.
So now the Mets will get 3 chances to get this runner in, with Howard Johnson, Darryl Strawberry, Kevin McReynolds all due up. You see what Johnson has done tonight. And Stanton's pitch, little looping fly ball, shallow left field, going to fall for a base hit. The throw comes back to Presley. The runners are at first and third. There are 2 theories coming to bat with a runner at second and nobody out. The obvious thing you want to do is get that guy over to third. But Bob Watson, a former great hitter in the major leagues, now an assistant general manager of Houston, told me the other night If you have one of your best hitters coming to the plate with a runner at second base, he doesn't want to see him try to give himself up to get that runner to third. He wants to see him just do what he does best. In Howard Johnson's case, it's pull the ball, and he pulled that one and got it into left field.
Pete, I think he was still trying to go to right field or to center, though, because you could see him move up to hit that ball, but it was a breaking ball that got in on his hands. He had already committed, but he is strong enough and quick enough that he can muscle that ball over the head of Jeff Blauser.
The infield is in. The outfield is in. There is nobody out. Runners first and third for Strawberry. Stanton needs a strikeout here. Strawberry has grounded out to first. He has walked. And he has struck out.
And the Braves are saying if Howard Johnson wants to run here, he can have it.
Strike in the inside corner. Bobby Wine trying to get the attention of the outfield to move in even more shallow. If you play out there too deep, a fly ball's caught by you, and the guy's going to score from third anyway. Here's the one strike pitch to Strawberry. It missed low. Braves trying desperately now to get out of a ninth inning jam after brilliant pitching through 8 innings. Here's the 1-1. Popped him up. Jeff Treadway waiting. He will take it.
And Howard Johnson had taken off and was standing almost at second base, had to reverse his field, come running back, and he slid head first into first base.
You'll see it here.
Take a look at Strawberry's swing. Good Stanton breaking ball up to shoot. Look where Johnson is. Didn't hesitate, turned, and went head first. Treadway's first concern was the runner at third, though. Wanted to make sure he kept him there.
I think they're going to walk. They are. Kevin McReynolds here. So in a pick-your-poison situation, they will walk McReynolds and go after Mike Marshall, trying to induce him to hit a ground ball. And the walk will load him up with 1 out. So Mike Stanton's going to get a real test here. He had runners first and third, nobody out. They're still there with 1 out. Now comes the intentional walk. And here comes ball 4. And now Mike Marshall will be the hitter. Marshall has struck out. Hit a little number off the end of the bat, was thrown out catcher to first, and he flied to left. All he'll try to do here is get a fly ball to the outfield or get one over the infield. And we'll see how they elect to play it here in the infield. You know it'll be in at the corners. My guess would be it'll be about halfway at second and short, but we'll wait and see.
Marshall, not a real fast runner. Year after year, he was right among the top, or at least led the Dodgers in grounding into double plays. More of a fly ball hitter than a ground ball hitter, but he did lead them in grounding into double plays. Last year, he hit about 270 with runners in scoring position, which shows you how bad a year the Dodgers had. That led the team.
And as the infield sets itself, they continue to look into the Atlanta dugout for instructions, and apparently they're getting the call to come in all the way around. That will be the case. The outfield remains extreme. Game, bottom of the 9th.
Marshall a free swinger. Stanton does not have to throw him strikes.
He didn't, and Marshall chased it. 0-1. His first at bat tonight against Pete Smith, he chased 3 breaking balls, none of which were strikes.
This is a situation where I'd like to see somebody go out and remind Mike Stanton of that.
Now the 0-1. He's ahead 0-2.
And now he has, as we've said it before, he has 3 shots at making a perfect pitch. He doesn't even have to come close to the strike zone now. Make the hitter get himself out.
Stanton wants the signs given again. And the 0-2 on the way. Hit back up the middle. Blauser has it. Goes to second. 1 on to first. No! And the run scores to win the game. The Braves did all they could do on a ball that wasn't hit hard enough to be a double play ball. And Mike Marshall barely able to beat the Rapid first. In to score from third is Mark Carrion. And a tough, tough loss for Atlanta tonight, as the New York Mets nub a run home here in the bottom half of the ninth to win it by a final score of 2-1. This one will be felt for a while by the Braves. They got tremendous pitching tonight, and Stanton made a good pitch on Mike Marshall. But the ball wasn't hit hard enough to be a double play ball, and the Braves lose by 1. We'll be back.
Here's the way this one ended. Mike Marshall at the plate. The bases loaded, 1 out. A ground ball up the middle. Jeff Blauser with the infield in makes a diving stop, flips to Jeff Treadway, touches the bag. The throw to first, not quite in time to get Marshall, and the Mets win it 2-1. The totals for the Braves: 1 run, 3 hits, 1 error, 4 men left on base. The Mets had 2 runs, 5 hits. They had 1 error. They stranded 5. Machado picks up the win. He's now 2-0. And Mike Stanton, the hard luck loser. Good pitching from Pete Smith. Good pitching from Dwight Gooden. Neither had anything to do with it. But if you like pitching, you had to love this one. And Pete, you have some scores from other places.
And in other places, we've got these results thus far. The Phillies leading the Cincinnati Reds 5-2. That game is now into the 8th inning. Howell and Parrott have pitched for the Phils. Rijo, Burtsis, and now Leana for Cincinnati. John Kruk a home run for the Phillies. Montreal playing at Houston tonight. It's 4-1 Expos after 4. Kevin Gross against Mike Scott. Tim Wallach is homered for Montreal. The other games are all late starting. Chicago at San Diego. Greg Maddux against Dennis Rasmussen. St. Louis plays at Los Angeles. Joe McGrain against Mike Morgan. And the Pirates are at San Francisco. Doug Graybeck against Scott Gereltz. Over in the American League, final scores in: Milwaukee has defeated Kansas City tonight. Chris Bosio got the win. He's 2-0. Richard Dotson, the loser, he's 0-1. Dave Parker, a home run for Milwaukee. It's the New York Yankees over Seattle. They got good pitching tonight from Dave LaPointe and Jeff Robinson. 6-2 the final. Barfield a home run. LaPointe got the win. Matt Young was the loser. Dennis Leonard a home run for Seattle. Oakland all over Baltimore. Oakland just struck for 4 more runs in the top half of the 7th. They now lead 8-0. It is April, and Dave Stewart is going for his 4th straight win of the month. Nothing new for him. McGuire has hit 2 home runs tonight for Oakland. Jose has hit 1. Johnson, Holtman, Price have all pitched for Baltimore. Pitching matchup tonight in Boston: Roger Clemens against Mark Langston. Clemens is winning that battle 3-0. They're in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Langston is now out of there. Cleveland playing at Toronto. They go to the 9th inning with Toronto holding on to a 4-3 win. Key was the starter against Swindell. It's now Wells against Orozco. Kelly Gruber, 2 more home runs. He now has 6 on the year. Mitch Webster hit another one for Cleveland, his 2nd of the year. In Minnesota, at the end of 5, the Twins lead the Tigers 6-2. Guthrie and Candelaria have pitched for Minnesota. Ritz, Gibson, and Wapnick have pitched for Detroit. Greg Gagne, a home run for the Twins. Lou Whitaker has hit 1 for the Tigers. And in Texas, Chicago leading Texas 3-0 behind Eric King. Jamie Moyer on the mound for Texas. That game is now going to the 6th inning. Well, a tough loss for Atlanta tonight. The Mets squeeze a run in. That's not in a squeeze play, but just barely getting that run home in the bottom half of the 9th inning to win it 2-1. We'll televise next on Friday night. The Philadelphia Phillies will be playing the Atlanta Braves at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. We'll have it for you beginning 7:35 Eastern Time. Coming up next, our motion picture presentation, The Pink Panther Strikes Again, starring Peter Sellers. Until Friday night, for Don Sutton, for Skip Carey, and our entire TBS crew, Pete Van Weren speaking to you from Shea Stadium, where the Braves lost a tough one tonight. The final, New York 2, Atlanta 1. Good night, everyone.